Hi everybody, Michael Anderson with eTail Solutions. We have made it. Today is part 8 of our 8-part series looking at distributed logistics for digital commerce. And today we're going to have a little bit of fun and take a look at a few examples of how some companies are using this technology to create competitive advantages for themselves in their various spaces. Now, we have covered a lot of ground prior to this, and we're going to refer to some of these concepts. So if you haven't watched the prior videos, I would encourage you to do so. This will make a lot more sense. But let's cover a couple of high-level concepts real quick. First and foremost, recall that digital commerce is really all about yield management, which is basically making the most of what you have and where you can sell it at any given point in time. Now, we've covered this, again, a lot in prior videos, and I would encourage you to go back and look at this. But essentially, what we're trying to do is we're trying to manage the space in between the digital demand across all these different types of digital commerce channels and how those orders get fulfilled. And to do that, we have to manage the 5 touch points. Remember that every digital commerce channel, regardless of which type it is, needs the same 5 touch points. They need to know what it is that you have, they need to know how many you have, what the sale price is going to be, and you need to be able to download orders and upload tracking information. So the best way to handle all of this is by putting all of this together into a single dynamic integrated network. And that means you need the ability to see inventory visibility across your fulfillment network, regardless of which locations, which suppliers, whether it's an external 3PL, etc., you have to know what inventory is available for sale. You need to be able to deal with dynamic publishing based upon what is for sale, even where it's for sale, to be able to leverage some of these regional programs and maximize sales. You need to be able to know how to price and always be able to sell profitably, regardless of the situation. And when that order happens, regardless of where it came in at from a sales channel perspective, you have to be able to fulfill that order profitably and ideally maximize your margin after that order is taken using distributed order management. Now, when we look at real-world examples, we see dozens of business models, but primarily we see they kind of all roll up into 3 models. The first is online distributors or large online resellers. The second would be organizations who are doing some sort of commerce enablement as a service provider of some sort. And the third would be the brands themselves and the brands trying to go direct to consumer or pivot to add D2C to their portfolio. Now, let's take a look at a real-world example. This is an example of a company that we started working with probably 7 or 8 years ago at this point. And they really started by just selling on Amazon, and they were fairly small by today's standards, doing less than 100K a month in sales. And they have now expanded to literally dozens of channels all over the world. And the way that they were able to do this is by leveraging a couple of different fulfillment methods before they invested a ton of money into inventory. So they would leverage cross-dock suppliers as well as dropship suppliers, and that allowed them to build a fairly large catalog of over a couple 100,000 SKUs and over 10 or a dozen suppliers that were fully integrated. And that gave them a great amount of intelligence. They were able to see what products were moving and which products they should be making investments in, and utilizing Amazon FBA initially and a small warehouse that they had. Now, that small warehouse didn't last for very long. They quickly outgrew it, and they upgraded to a slightly larger warehouse and quickly outgrew that. And ultimately, they made a major investment in a DC, and they've installed a robotic system to help them do incredible volume in terms of their picks and their ships every single day. Now, the result of this, ultimately, after 7 or 8 years, they're a top 10 to 20 Amazon seller, depending on the month. They're doing many millions a month in revenue. They've supercharged their cash flow because, again, they're using this intelligence to understand what products they should invest in, and so they're focusing on the products that have a high gross margin return on investment for them. And they've got really strong margins because they've been really intelligent about going back to their suppliers and negotiating as their volume increases. And before you know it, they really have become a dominant player in this space, and they've priced everybody else out of the game. Another example would be a commerce service provider, I guess you would call them. You know, they started as a direct seller themselves and implemented this solution. They started using Amazon FBA for fulfillment. They also had a pretty good-sized fulfillment center themselves. But what they realized as the reseller space became more and more challenging, they realized they had to pivot. And so they understood that all of their knowledge and ability to work across all of these sales channels was a tremendous asset. And so they started flipping their model around and working with the brands as their customers and offering all sorts of different services to brands, and ultimately were able to provide a solution that supports a direct sale model. So if a brand doesn't want to be seen as selling direct, they can go through this organization via this special relationship and avoid channel conflict. They offer a 3PL model for brands who do want to be the seller of record and just need help on the fulfillment side of the world, shipping eaches. And they're able to offer turnkey digital commerce management solutions that includes marketplaces, shopping cart integrations, wholesale drop shipping to major online retailers like a Bed Bath & Beyond or Macy's. They're also doing retail store replenishment for some of these large retailers. And they're doing FBA management and replenishment. They've grown the solution overall to dozens of sales channels that they're supporting. And they're also a big reason, I would say, for this is that they're very flexible. The platform provides them with the ability to deal with EDI, deal with APIs, deal with flat file exchanges, and ultimately be able to increment their footprint as their clients need them to grow. Now, the result is, in their own right, they've actually become a top 100 seller on Amazon through these direct channels. They're doing many millions a month in sales. They did over 7 million units of volume last year, and they've grown to dozens of brand clients, dozens of sales channels, and they're growing very, very rapidly at this point. Another example that is a brand this time, this is an organization who has implemented Salesforce Commerce Cloud, and they are primarily working with a 3PL out on the East Coast to deal with their volume. And the reason for engaging is they actually really need to add retail wholesale drop shipping. They have a tremendous distribution channel to these types of clients who sell a lot of their product. And these clients of theirs have been begging for a long time to be able to do wholesale drop shipping on their websites. So they'll be adding that. Also, they have a DC in Canada that's capable of fulfilling orders, but they've never routed orders there. And so they've been paying a lot of extra fees across the border to ship orders into Canada. They're going to be avoiding that now. The next step then would be adding their sales channels or their major marketplaces, as well as demand dictates, they'll be adding more facilities to their network and lowering their overall fulfillment cost. So the result is literally over 6 figures in savings by avoiding cross-border fees. They'll be able to expand rapidly with their retail partners. And quite frankly, they haven't even tapped their D2C potential based on what they sell. You know, the reality is there are dozens of other uses that we have not even touched on. To rattle off a few, you can use this platform to add sales channels. You can use this platform to add fulfillment methods, like buy online, pick up in store, or retail micro fulfillment. You can add inventory locations, integrated suppliers, hook up to an ERP or a WMS or some other system of record that you need to support. Maybe it's a PIM system like a Salsify, and you want to use that as an inbound feed to your system. You can improve your forecasting by having a single source of truth that all of your digital commerce orders are going to come into, so you're able to see the velocity and make smart replenishment and ordering decisions for your products. You can use a platform like this to facilitate a single unichannel experience for customers who come onto the website and then want to buy on the website, pick up in the store, or want to have a seamless experience between the website and their store experience. You could use this system to combine multiple 3PLs into a single network. There's been some really interesting conversations around that this last year. Ultimately, distributed logistics is really all about whoever's got the most options wins. And having flexibility at your fingertips allows you to deal with an unpredictable future. Things, especially right now, are changing very, very rapidly, and you need the ability to adapt. You need the ability to be anti-brittle, is the phrase I read recently. You need to be able to maximize your yield based on what you actually have, and you need to be able to have options. So that's been our series. I hope you really enjoyed it. I enjoyed doing it. If you have any questions, would like to talk to somebody or learn a little bit more about what we can do or what distributed logistics for digital commerce can do for you, please give us a call. There's my personal email address. Don't hesitate to use it. I look forward to hearing from you. Thanks.